Okay, welcome back, friends, to Beautifully Nerding. We are doing another episode of Black Classics. This week we are doing The Wood. And before we get started, I hope that everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. If you all don't celebrate, I hope you had a wonderful Thursday. I did take some time so that I could go see family and just kind of like have a little breakaway. So that is why I did not do a video last week, but we are right back into it. I apologize for the late upload, but life just be life, and so we got to do what we can do. So I, as you know, have not seen The Wood before. I don't think I even knew what this movie was about. A friend of mine suggested it, and she was like, people kind of talk about it in the same way that they talk about Love and Basketball, which did not give me high hopes because I don't care for Love and Basketball. I feel like Quincy is just way overhyped, and it's just not. It's it's a decent movie. It's okay, but I'm not superbly a fan of it. So The Wood is about three friends, one of whom is about to get married, but he is having some doubts, getting a little cold feet, and he kind of like disappears right before the wedding. And so the other two have to go and find them, and then they are kind of thinking back down memory lane about how they met and became best friends and kind of some formative parts of their youth. And that's kind of like a quick, like, what's the movie about? I will say that in watching it, it felt like there were two completely separate movies that I was watching at the same time that just happened to get spliced together. That's really how I felt, because I was so confused during most of it, because we jumped back and forth between childhood memories and present day, and it's like one side of the movie follows one set of characters, and then the other side of the movie follows like the guys as a whole. And it's just like, I get that we're wanting to help to build the world of how these three are best friends, but I just don't feel like we're going about it the right way. The Wood came out in 1999, and it has a 61% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I want to say a 7 out of 10 on IMDb. Kind of with the people who have reviewed it. I'm sure there are people who give it a glowing review, and I'm sure that there are people who are like, why would you ever waste your time watching that movie? Everyone is entitled to their opinions. I will say that in 2023, as a grown woman, it was very awkward watching how many lingering shots of children's backsides there were. I was very uncomfortable, just as an aunt, as a woman, as a human being with decency. I was like, this is uncomfortable. There were a lot of times where I was very uncomfy. I had to kind of fast forward through some parts because I was just like, this is beyond cringe. But anywho, we start the movie with getting ready for the wedding. One of our main characters, Mike, runs into kind of an older black woman. We don't like fully know who she is just yet. He runs into her and is like doing like the little like recording, like, oh look, I'm capturing the memories or whatever, and she's trying to focus and he over here playing in her face. So he go ahead and puts the camera down, and then she's like, and tell my son Roland he needs to be here by da 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 da. And I'm just like, okay, cool. So this is Roland's mom. Like, I feel like there was a better way to have done that introduction than so heavy-handedly, but this whole movie is just extremely heavy-handed. So this was my opening introduction, and it's like, well, get used to it because this is how the entire movie goes. We start getting this, like, so Mike starts to give us this like super down the barrel of the camera exposition dump, where he's like, oh, I'm Big Mike, but we'll get into that later. And and the Wood is Inglewood, California, and my best friends are just like talking directly at the camera. And it's like, hey, here's a quick backstory of what's going on. Are you plugged in yet? Okay, let's start the movie. And like, he's doing this so much to the point that even Slim is like, who are you talking to? And so like, I'm sitting here watching the movie like, so are we the audience, another character in the movie who is here with them experiencing the things? No, because that direction choice never happens again. Like, it was legitimately only to get the movie started, to get us caught up, an exposition dump, so now we can get going. Because, like, there's no other point. So we get our exposition that it is a few hours before the wedding and Roland has gone missing. And then, so we flash back to the guys in school. Mike has just moved to Inglewood from North Carolina, from Winston-Salem to be exact. They give him, when they feel like it, they give him this like super thick Southern accent, and I'm just like, I've never heard anyone from North Carolina talk like that. Like I said, North Carolina, and I'm just like, what? Like, Winston-Salem of all places. Like, you didn't, this wasn't like the bum corner of like, it just, I was just really confused on that choice as well, because it wasn't like his entire dialect was super Southern, but it was just like certain words whenever they felt like it, because it's like, oh, we have to make sure we remind the audience that he's from the South, and he's from, and also North Carolina is like South-ish, but like barely. So I was like, okay, like if you was gonna give him an accent, like you could have made him from like the bottom corner of Georgia or something. Like, I just, anywho, Roland and Slim can see that, you know, Mike is new. Like, he's very green, very wet behind the ears. They kind of take him under their wing to be like, look, you're not gonna make it here, so we're gonna take care of you. Like, we got you. So they ask him, like, you know, what set he rep, where is he from, all this good stuff, and he's like, I'm from North Carolina. They're like, no, like, are you blood or crip? You know, in the wood, you either bang or you ball. Like, so you either do one or the other. And like, Mike is like, well, I play baseball, and they're like, no, that's not what we mean. They said like that's the number one rule of the wood is either you bang or you ball. And it's just like, I mean, I get it, because, like, you know, sometimes that's the way, you know, the people are like, let me find a way to get my power. Either I take it through banging, or I, you know, work hard, develop this skill, this talent that I have, get to this certain level to where I can leave this situation through basketball. So it's like, I get it. Okay, cool. I guess, so this is like before school starts. Everybody's like hanging out outside. So then they go into homeroom, and coincidentally, all three of them all have the same homeroom class, because the movie's gonna movie. So they go to homeroom, and Mike sees Alicia, instantly and physically falls in love with Alicia. And by physically, I mean he is standing at attention in the middle of class, because he is a young boy with hormones. Also, we're gonna get into it a little bit more later, but so this chunk of flashbacks, in the first couple of flashbacks, these kids are in middle school. I will say that none of the actors, because when I was first watching it, they just said school. I just assumed that they were in high school, because all these people look so old. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, they're, you know, grown folks playing high schoolers. Okay, bet. But later we learned that this scene and a few others are from them in middle school, which makes a lot of the long gratuitous shots of like children's backsides even that much more uncomfortable, because it's not even that they're like, oh, okay, like they're 17, but like we know that it's played by like a 23-year-old, so it's okay. But like, no, like these are supposed to be actual literal children. And I'm just like, this was okay? Like, okay, so yeah, anyway, we're in homeroom and is standing at attention, and the teacher comes in and it's like, oh, we have a new student. Mike, stand up and introduce yourself to the class. Which of course Mike doesn't want to stand up because he is having a situation right now. But he grabs his notebook and, you know, puts it in front of himself, stands up, tries to like start talking, and the teacher's like, no, come to the front of the class and introduce yourself. So it's like, lady, like, do you not see what's going on here? Like, I'm going through some stuff right now. But he eventually does come to the front of the class, says his piece, goes back and sits down. Flashback forward. We go back to present day where Slim, Mike, one of them gets a page from Roland's ex, Tanya, who's like, hey, your homeboy is over here, come get him. So they go over there, and Roland is pissy drunk because, you know, he was having the second doubts, so he ended up getting drunk. I get, like, why exactly he went to his ex's house? Like, that's just stupid. That's not a good idea in the least bit. Slim was like, hey, did y'all... And Tanya was like, what do you take me for? Like, no, we didn't do nothing. He was like, I'm just asking. I just gotta ask. Because I guess, like, Roland and Tanya were just so in love. And the movie never at any point shows us that. Like, we later see that they... No, we don't even see. We later hear that Roland and Tanya were together, but we never actually, like, saw them being in love. For, like, them to have gone to her house twice in this movie, for that to have been, like, an actual, like, yes, I completely understand why this would have been a logical option, because we as the audience don't feel anything for this person. It's just a different, it's just another plot line on the fetch quest. Like, okay, cool. So they're over there and they're trying to get him to leave. He doesn't want to leave, but eventually they are able to get him in the car. They head to a corner store. So as they're leaving, we flash back to the past, and the guys are back outside. So I guess it's like lunchtime recess. Like, how I didn't realize that they were in middle school and we were on the playground this much. I don't, because they just looked so old that it didn't fully process to me that they were on a playground. They're also like, there weren't like swings. It was literally just like asphalt with, like, I guess like a basketball hoop and like the paint on it. It was just openness with a fence around it. But that's on me. I'll eat that one. I'll eat that F. But yeah, so we're back with the kids. They're outside. The guys dare Mike to go and touch Alicia's butt, because I guess that's a thing that middle schoolers do. I did think that was very childish of them to be like, hey, go touch her butt. But then it's like later learning that they're middle schoolers, and it's like, so of course, you know, folding to peer pressure, he goes and does it, and Alicia rightfully punches him in the face. And she's like, I'm gonna tell my brother, he's gonna come up here and whoop your butt. Don't you ever put your hands on me, yada yada yada. And I was like, you go, girl, you tell him. So now, with the threat of Alicia's brother coming to beat him up after school, he is like panicking throughout the day. The school day finally ends. They go outside. He's thinking he's scot-free, but of course Stacy is right behind him. Turns him around. It's like, hey, I heard you mention my sister. Like, goes to start fighting him. Mike does land one punch in, which I could see that, like, Stacy respected it, but everybody else was just like, oh, whoa, like, that, I didn't expect that to happen. But Stacy does proceed to beat up Mike, to which Alicia comes and breaks up, and it's like, I told you to scare him, not kill him. So it's like, okay, Alicia, points for you for breaking it up, because I don't think he probably would have stopped, because the friends were no help. Like, they tried to jump in, and Stacy was like, y'all want somebody to sue them? It was like, nope, I'm good, you got it, boss. And so, like, after Stacy and Alicia leave, Mike and Roland and Slim are like, well, was it worth it? And he's like, yeah. Really worth $1 getting punched in the face by a girl in the middle of the playground, and then getting beat up by her brother in front of the whole school. Like, off to touch a butt. Like, I think our value systems are a little messed up here. We see that from this interaction that the trio's friendship is now fully cemented, and we go back to present day. So now they are pulling up to the convenience store. They're going to get some breath mints, and just like reminiscing about when they were there in that convenience store when they were children. So literally this entire scene of them like going to the convenience store and like, and it was for nothing, because it was to get us right back to the past. Like, we could have just stayed there. But when we go back to the past, it's now a few months later, and there's a dance coming up. Alicia's asking the guys if they're going to the dance. They're like, yeah, I'm going to the dance. But of course, like, Mike is from so deep in the country that he doesn't know how to dance, and he's never danced with anybody before, so he has to go home and practice his dance moves and whatnot. He ends up like practicing dancing like with this rabbit, and ends up like starts making out with it. And of course, when he starts making out with the rabbit, his mama and his little brother walk in, and it's just like, what you doing? He was like, I'm just practicing, getting ready for the dance. And she was like, by making out with a rabbit? It's like, girl, I'm just as confused as you are. Mama's all like, oh, my little boy's growing up, get your practice in, keep it down. So it's now the day of the dance, and the guys are standing outside of the school, doing their little checks, making sure that they have their pen and their paper so they can take down all the numbers of the people that they're going to try to talk to, and blah, blah, this, that, and the third. And they go to check their breath. They're like, oh, the breath is a little hot. We need to go to the corner store real quick, get some mints. So they go to the corner store that we saw earlier. But not their kids. They're doing like a whole like, okay, so you have to get this mint because it's small but like packs a big punch, and like if it falls out your mouth while you like talking to a girl, it's not that big of a deal, but you don't want to get gun. Like it's just a whole like TED talk about which mint and which gum, like it's a whole thing. I'm just like, okay, cool. So as they are getting ready to like go back to the front to pay for their treats, thug number one walks into the convenience store with a bandana on his face and is like, hey, this is a robbery, give me all of your money. And the boys are like hiding because they're like, we don't want no parts of this. Thugs number 2 and 3 end up finding them and bringing them up to the front, and thug number 1 is like, oh wait, I don't know, they go to school with my sister. And Mike is like, Stacy? Which, if someone is doing a robbery and has a bandana covering their face, why would you say their name out loud? Like, it is really upsetting because they were just trying to play Mike just because he was from the South, that he was just this like super naive, like super like as a Southerner, I'm just watching this like we do have common sense here. Like there's hundreds of thousands of millions of other people here. Like it's a couple of states worth of people who can fully be like, we know better than to do that. But anyway, it is Stacy, who is Alicia's brother, who is robbing the store. And he's like, oh yeah, y'all got that dance tonight. Y'all need to ride back to the school. And they're like, no, thank you. We good. And they're like, nah, I got you. Like, come on. So they go get in the car, because what else they gonna do? He literally has a gun in his hand. Like, what else they gonna do? They go get in the car and start to drive back to the school, and they end up getting pulled over. One officer gets them all out, like lines them up on the wall, does like searching and stuff. And the other cop is like starting to search the car. So while they were driving in the car, like when they were getting pulled over, Stacy was like, he told thug number 2 to put the gun under the seat. But Stacy has like bench seats, and so essentially it kind of just moved like back a little bit further to where it would have been visible once the officer was like looking. Mike sees that the officer has like finished looking in the front seat and is going to the back seat. It starts doing like fake cough, a little like the whole thing, and the officer's like, hey, are you okay? And Mike is like, yeah, it's just my allergies. And then the officers get a call on the radio. They're like, oh, like there's been a robbery at such and such convenience store, we need units. And Mike is like narrating, he's like, who would have thought that the robbery that they just did would have been the thing that saved our lives? Okay. A lot of that narration was just unnecessary exposition, and it's like, we're right here. Like, I'm watching the movie. Like, I just saw that the robbery he just did was the call that came through on the radio that saved you all from possibly getting a gun charge and arrested. Like, I saw it. You don't have to say it. They get back in the car, and thug number 2 was like shedding, like not even thug tears, like he was boo-hoo crying, like it wasn't cute. And so Stacy makes him get in the back seat and tells Mike to get in the front seat. So he takes him to the school. Roland and Slim get out the car. They like running out the car, but he tells Mike to stay back so he can talk to him. And he's like, oh, like, do you really like my sister? Like, if This World Were Mine comes on, like, make sure you ask her to dance. They all go inside and they're having like a good little time. Roland is like going around getting folks' numbers, and Mike and Slim start dancing with these 2 girls. But of course, as we learned earlier, Mike don't know how to dance. He's doing some like random stuff that he ain't got no, like, what are you doing? Like, he was doing like a Michael Jackson type thing. It's just like, bro, what? Like, he tried to follow what she was doing, but like his body just wasn't like going with it. So he was like, bump this, I'm gonna do what I know how to do. No, don't do that. Just do a little 2-step. Just keep it here. Like Hitch said, just keep it home. Just keep it home. Cause he had no business doing that. And the girl was like, I'm getting tired, I think I'm gonna leave. And I was like, I mean, I don't necessarily blame you for that. After this, Mike goes to sit down because he really didn't necessarily want to dance with anybody else. Like, he really just wanted to dance with Alicia, but she was already dancing with somebody else, so he just went and sat down. So later in the night, the DJ is like, grab one of those fine ladies. And I'm just like, because again, I'm still thinking that they're in high school. Like, I'm thinking they're maybe like 9th grade, but still, I'm thinking they're high schoolers. So when he was like, grab one of those fine ladies, I'm like, no, they're kids. It's like, could grab a partner, like, fine ladies. This is a 9th grade dance, is what I'm thinking. When I found out later that they were in middle school, I was like, oh, you had zero business saying that. Because what? Like, these are literal children that you're talking about. Like, my lips are a little dry. Hold on. Okay, I had to go get my fancy gloss bomb. I got the what's this? The ice. I have the Fenty Ice and Cold Hearted. And I will say that, like, I usually don't like the, like, lip glosses and stuff that, like, make your lips tingle. I have really bad interactions with Carmex. Well, because I'm allergic to Carmex. I don't know, like, because I know the Heat one has that same type of interaction. Maybe. I don't know. I never tried it because I just assumed. But I didn't know that the ice would do, like, that tingle as well. And so, like, when I felt the tingle kick in, I got so nervous. But fortunately, it did not have an adverse reaction, because I'd have been so sad, but it would have been going right back. But yeah, anyway, so the DJ's like, grab a partner, and for a slow dance. Mike goes to find Alicia, and he's like, oh, this is a cool song, it's like the awkward, like, I'm super nervous, but like, obviously I want to dance with you. Eventually Mike is like, do you want to dance? And she like grabs his hand and walks to the dance floor. So like, they start dancing, like, doing a little slow dance or whatever. And Mike starts to stand at attention again, and he like moves her body away from his, and she's like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, this is just how we dance in North Carolina. And she's just like, well, this is how we dance in California. And like pulls him back into her. He goes to move his hands down her back to her backside, which again, I'm feeling super awkward watching these kids do this, but like, I'm trying to put that fact out of my mind. I got nervous at first because I was like, dude, like, you just got punched in the face a few months ago for grabbing on her. Now you finna do it again? So I didn't think that was going to end well for him. But then she started smiling. So I was like, okay then, shut me on up. Shut me up. So they're doing a little slow dance. And then Roland and Slim like see Mike dancing with Alicia. And they're like, oh, look at Mike. But they're so busy paying so much attention to what he's doing that their dance partners are like, well, why don't you go dance with him then? And goes to walk off. And one of the girls that's dancing was a baby Christina Milian. I was like, oh, okay, girl, I see you. Look at that. Mike and Alicia are dancing, and he gets back at attention again, and then that's when Alicia like realizes that like, oh, that's what happened the first time, that's why he moved me away. And she's like, oh, walk me outside. So then they go outside. um Alicia gives Mike her number, and then she gives him a kiss on the cheek and like goes to walk to her brother's car. Stacy like smiles at Mike, gives him a little head nod, which is like fully cementing like, I'm okay with you dating my sister. You're a decent enough dude. So we get back to present day, and the guys are driving around, and they're just kind of, you know, still talking about Roland and the wedding, and you know, if he actually even wants to get married. Why did Roland ask the girl to marry him if he wasn't ready, and this, that, and the third. And it was at this point that I was just like, what exactly am I watching? The past feels like it's all about Mike and him developing as a person, whereas the present day, it feels like the three of them are navigating growing older, and possibly like navigating how their friendship dynamic has changed because they're all grown now and starting to do like grown stuff with their life, like get married and move away. Like we're meeting characters in one part that we have not seen in another part. Like we keep hearing about Tanya in the present, but we haven't met her in the past. And then we hear that like, oh, like I love Lisa, but who the hell is Lisa? Like we ain't seen Lisa. I always know like, oh, he's getting married to Lisa. Who is this lady? But then we go back to the past, and it's just, here's the meet cute of Mike and Alicia. Mike and Alicia are going to the dance, and Mike and Alicia, and it's just like, what exactly are we watching? Like we're getting breadcrumbs from everywhere, but I'm noticing like a lot of these movies will have like 15 different things going on in the plot, and then won't address how they were all intermingled into the last 10 minutes of the movie. And I'm just like, bro, this movie is over an hour and a half long. Like, you just gonna have me confused the entire movie? The answer is yes. So yeah, present day, they are driving around. Roland is like, stop the car. And from someone who has been on both sides of this situation, if someone who you know is drunk is in the back seat, and cars are just like, I am never a person who's ever gotten motion sickness until I was drunk. If someone is telling you to stop the car, you don't argue with them. You don't tell them, we about to be late, we got to get you to this wedding, da 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 da, you been having her waiting, I'm not stopping. And it again says, stop the car. Because what's gonna happen? Exactly what happened next. Roland got car sick and threw up. It is super disgusting. Everyone is covered. They are rightfully upset. And they're like, okay, cool, so let's go back to Tanya's house to get cleaned up. They try to go in through the house, and she's like, what you're not gonna do is take that funk and bring it into my living room. You're gonna take the back way around the house. You're gonna take that hose. You're gonna hose off. I'm gonna bring y'all some towels, some of my man's clothes. You can have some of them. They do that, you know, they apologize for, you know, all the hassle that they have brought her. And then they leave to, have y'all ever just like glasses wearers, like do you often, like if you don't have your glasses on, just like out of a force of habit, just go to like push your glasses up? I do that so often, and it's just like, there's nothing on my face right now. Why am I still, because I used to do the this, but now I've graduated to like grabbing the side and pushing them up. But like there's nothing on my face. It's just a force of habit now, and I feel like a fool every time I do it. Back to the movie. So after they get some clothes, they go to take their wedding outfits to a dry cleaners, and they're like, hey, real big ask, can you get this done in an hour? And she's like, there is a church right across the street if you want to go and pray for a miracle. And they're just like, yeah, no, fair. Well, we are going to need that miracle. Can you get this done in an hour? And she's like, I'll see what I can do. And so while they are waiting, they go to grab some food at a pizza parlor next door that they also have childhood memories with. We're catching on. As they're sitting here, we get some very misogynistic exposition of somewhat why Roland is having a bit of cold feet. And it was pretty much because the guys were feeling a type of way because Roland could possibly be moving because Lisa was offered a job or has it. Lisa is somewhere else and he was going to move with Lisa. And they're like, you the man, she's supposed to move and get a job where you are. You need some pennies and da 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 da. And I'm just like, just if the person wants to go and it's a good thing and y'all both are just like, we can both make this work, then go. Just, I did not like the whole like, you're the man type conversation. But also while listening, I'm just like, so was that the only reason that you had cold feet? Just because your friends were like, she over here got you whipped because you willing to move and leave your boys for some girl. Like, this was your fiance at the time. Like, why? I felt like there had to be something else, but nothing else gets explained to us of more reason why he would have wanted to leave. I was just like, it's got to be deeper than this. All the information that we are given is that they don't want to leave each other, and so they don't want him to move. Like, okay, sure. So yeah, we get a little bit more back and forth, and Roland is like, well, nobody said anything to you, Slim, when you went to Italy. And Slim was like, I went to Italy to go play ball. I love ball. And to that, Roland was like, well, I love Lisa. And Slim was like, okay, so then why are you here instead of at the house getting ready for your wedding? Because that's a very good point. Like, I didn't want to be on his side because this dude always plays like a butthead. Because even when Tyler Perry cast him in Why Did I Get Married, he was a butthead then. And I'm pretty sure he's going to show up in some more of these movies I'm about to watch. And I'm pretty sure he's going to play the exact same character with a different name. And I'm just like, it's got to be something going on. Like, what did you do? Like, who did you piss off? Like, are you just that good at being a butthead? Like, it's got to be something in real life. Like, some of these things got a little bit of truth in it. I don't trust you. But yes, he plays the exact same person in every movie. And I did not want to be on his side, but that was a very good line. Shout out to who wrote it. So with this conversation, we get a little bit more exposition about why Mike and Alicia broke up. So essentially, after when high school was ending, they went to two different schools. I forgot where they said Mike went, but Alicia went to NYU. Mike was like, oh, we went to different schools. And then Slam was like, oh, didn't you also get accepted into the same school? And he just kind of like walks off and doesn't answer the question. And I'm just like, okay, so are we gonna find out later what the real reason of why they broke up was? Spoiler, no. So we flash back to the young crew, and it is their first day of school, and now they're in high school thanks to the exposition by Alicia, who says like, oh, we're juniors now. And I'm just like, there has to be a better way to let us know what's going on in this movie, because the way you're doing it is terrible, and I hate every second of it. It's like, this was when I realized that the earlier flashbacks were of them in middle school. They literally said that like, oh, like that was back in middle school, like we're in high school now, we're juniors. And I'm just like, wait, I was supposed to think y'all were middle schoolers because thinking that they were ninth graders was a stretch. But like, I don't know how I was supposed to think that these three grown men were middle schoolers. I will say that the kid who played young Mike does look younger than the other two guys, because the guy who plays young Slim, like, he was grown with a mortgage. Like, he looked very old. But the way they made them look younger was they gave Slim and Roland these like terrible wigs. When then they got to high school, they took the wigs off. Okay, sure. So Alicia is like, oh, we have that one teacher is gonna give a quiz by the end of the week, so Mike, let's study. And he's like, oh, all right, cool. They're gonna study later, but after school today, the guys go and get pizza at the same pizza. Yeah, exactly. They go get pizza and they make a bet that whoever loses their virginity first gets $5. And if it's been a month and nobody has gotten any yet, they're going to continue to add to the pot. So of course now we get a montage of them trying and failing over and over again to win this pot, and they are doing terrible because they're children and they have no game whatsoever. And like also the girls were just like, I don't want to. And Alicia brought up a really good point, like later when her and Mike were talking, of like, why don't you just, get with somebody who wants it just as bad as you do? Which I don't know, it's like some of the lines that were written were really good, and I was like, let me write that down. And then it was like, but how do we deliver the lines? That's when it was like, Mike and Alicia are studying, and they're both just like, look, we're not gonna get nothing done. Like, let's go ahead and leave. And they go to walk Alicia home, and like they're talking about the homecoming dance. Mike is talking about how he only asked the girl that he did ask because he knew that she would say yes. And Alicia was like, are you scared of rejection? And Mike is like, yes. And then Mike is like, you got all the guys asking you. And Alicia was like, well, not all of them. And I'm just like, she is really doing like all of the heavy lifting of the flirtation in this situationship. I don't want to call it a relationship because they weren't dating yet. But Alicia was doing all the heavy lifting. And I was like, you go, girl. But at the same time, it's just like, come on, Mike, now. So Alicia's like, oh, like, do you want to come in and see my homecoming dress? Which I knew as soon as she invited him in, I knew exactly where this was going. And I was like, okay, cool. So I immediately started to get like uncomfortably cringe, and I don't want to relive that. So we're going to kind of skip forward a little bit. I'm going to jump to kind of some of the like main parts of it. We're not going to linger in that moment. So they go inside. Of course, the song comes on. They are like slow dancing again, and they're like, start kissing or whatnot, and decide that they want to do the deed. Mike takes out some protection from his wallet, but it was a little old and it ends up breaking. So he has to go to Stacy's room to get another one from his drawer. Stacy ends up coming home with his girlfriend. Mike doesn't hear that they're in the house until it's too late. And so he has to hide under the bed, and Stacy and his girlfriend come into the room, and they're like about to start getting busy or whatever. And I guess the girlfriend goes to reach into the drawer to get some protection, and she's like, who is she? Because you're supposed to have 4 in here and it's only 3. Who you been messing with? Da da da. Take me home. And Stacey's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I ain't been doing nothing. Which, like, granted, to his benefit, he was innocent in the matter. But now is not the time to let him know. I wonder if he ever let him know that. Sorry, it's a movie. It doesn't matter. But yeah, so they end up leaving, and Mike is able to get out of the room and go back to Alicia's room. They finish what they're doing. It's like 2 pumps and then they're done. And then so they're like, so what does this mean now? And it's like, I guess we're together. And that's all that we see of like Mike and Alicia's like young relationship, outside of like they go to the dance later. Would they go to the homecoming dance, which is what they were talking about. But like, we just see that like they had sex, started dating, but then in the future they are no longer dating. So like, we don't know what the inciting incident was that broke them up, unless I missed it. Like, if I missed it, let me know. Please let me know in the comments if I missed what happened that made them break up. So we come back to present day, and Roland has fully decided that he does want to marry Lisa. They go back to the house. They have their suits on now. Everybody's fire hot because they don't tell them how long it actually took. Like, we don't know how long it took for the suits to get clean. All we see is them at the pizza place and being like, yeah, I'm gonna marry her. And then they go back to the house and they have their suits. Okay. And then everybody's like mad because they're like, I know you don't think, you saying that you had car trouble was going to be a believable lie. Like, I know you didn't think I was going to believe that. And so they're just like, yeah, that's what happened. Nothing else happened. Like, we're here now. And Mike and Slim have to go and convince Lisa that like, you love him so much. This is your man. You want to marry him. And she's just like, I'm just so mad at him, but that is my man. I do want to marry him. So the wedding is back on, and Mike walks downstairs, and then his face changes, and I was like, Alicia's here. Alicia's here. Which I knew she would be there because, like, it would have pissed me off so much had we spent so much time in the past talking about Alicia, and she did not show up in this movie. So we finally see Alicia, who grown up Alicia is played by Sanaa Lathan. Hey girl, I was like, look at me knowing people. We have the wedding. It's a beautiful ceremony. We get to the reception, and Mike and Alicia are slow dancing again. And Mike's like, oh, how's life in the Big Apple? And she's like, oh, it's fine, but I had to come back to see an old friend. And Mike's like, oh, really? And Alicia's like, yeah, I had to go see Roland he's getting married. And he's like, oh, you came to see Roland. And then Alicia was like, well, I came to see Slim too. It was like, oh, you came to see Slim. And she's like, mm-hmm. And he was like, what, you dancing with me? And then it was like that awkward, like, oh, I don't know what to say. You've caught me in my playful banter and I don't have a response. Like, we could have kept it going a little bit. Like, it was cute. It was funny. And then I was like, okay. But then, yeah, that's the end of the movie. Like, it just ends there. There's no, like, at least give me, like, a text at the end of, like, Mike and Alicia got married and have 2 kids. Roland and Lisa are like something. It just ends, and I'm just like, what happened? Like, this whole movie you've been setting up all these things. Like is Stacy okay? Did his girlfriend knock him upside the head because she thought he was cheating on her? Do Mike and Alicia get back together? Does Slim ever get some common sense, or did he still continue to be a butthead and make his wife drive up that mountain by herself to go save their marriage? I have so many questions, but that's the movie. It was something. I don't think I'm gonna watch it again. Like Training Day, I might actually watch again, but I will never watch The Wood again. That was not fun. It was a cool premise. I'm glad that I've seen it and can now discuss it. But as far as watching it, and also it was just so like the over sexualization of I don't even want to say it, but like, I feel like I know what I might do next time, but if you all have any suggestions for what I should do later, please feel free to leave a comment down below. A friend of mine said that I should make a like one of the wheels that like you put all of your options in, and then like it like randomizes and like do this one. I may do that and pick the movie that way. If y'all would like to see that, let me know. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Tell your friends. We're trying to grow the gang. I would love to get to 100 subscribers. And yeah, that's it. And I'll catch y'all next time. Bye.